this morning, no matter what you're going through. The Bible says, Mom, you'll be there for us. You'll never leave us, never forsake us. You'll always be there. Oh yeah, oh, here's my part. By my trouble, by my sorrow, by my trouble, I won't blame you. I won't blame you. Can you say what? By my trouble, by my sorrow, by my trouble, I won't blame you. I won't blame you. Say it with my trouble, by trouble, I won't blame you. Just wave your hands and say it with me. By trouble,
Why is that growth? Well, Peter was an interesting character. Like most people, he was confined in his fishbowl, if you would, of surroundings. He lived in a nation where they were oppressed by the Roman government.
Amen.
And he saw how they oppressed the Jewish people. Okay? So he saw different stratuses, if you would, different classes. So it kind of made him cold, if you would, to people who were outside of his ethnicity.
Amen.
Okay, Peter's good peoples. He's good peoples. But he had a heart for God. Isn't that amazing?
Amen.
How someone can have an idea which needs to be changed about certain groups of people, but yet still have a heart for God. Isn't that interesting? And Jesus chose him. He says, you are Peter. Later on he says, you're going to be the rock. Upon this rock I will build my church. Why would Jesus choose someone who had ideas about other groups of people? Even though they were limited and wrong, God would choose him to be their leader. Why does he do that? Because he's God. He uses examples. He doesn't use the perfect person. He uses people like that so that you will know, even though you have your own situations and your own ideas, he can still use you.
Amen.
This is a growth process. Who was Peter writing to? He was writing to Gentiles.
Amen.
Peter had issues of Gentiles. Oh, yes, he did.
Amen.
Yes, he did. Here's the first example. Go to Matthew chapter 8. The book of Matthew chapter 8. Talking about Peter. What do we learn from Peter? What do we learn from him? How God can use someone who is imperfect, who has different biases about other groups of people, but yet God will still use them. And an interesting thing about that, God did not allow Peter to get by with it.
Amen.
If you notice the progressive stage, remember what he told Peter? He's like, Peter, when you're young, paraphrase, Peter, when you're younger, you went any way you wanted to go. But as you grow older, you can be guided. Someone's going to guide you into a place where you don't want to go. He used that as an example. When you were younger, you did anything you wanted to do. But since you're mine,
Amen.
I'm going to put this yoke on you. What's a
Well.
yoke? Have you ever wondered what a yoke was? It's like you put over somebody and it allows them to be guided by you.
Amen.
Same way with Peter. Keep reading. Matthew chapter 8. What did I say? Matthew 8,
Amen.
verse 28. Matthew 8, verse 20. Remember, he had an issue with people who did not look like him.
Amen.
People who were not from his religious pedigree. People whose customs were different.
Amen.
And he automatically assumed Jesus, who was human ancestry, was Jewish, would be just the same. Okay? Okay? He would know because Jesus is a good old boy. Because all his disciples were Jewish people. So we're going to take over the kingdom. Matthew 8:28, is that where everybody is?
Amen.
8 and 28. When Jesus arrived on the other side of the lake, in the land of the Gadarenes. I like that how Matthew discusses that. What does that mean, the land of the Gadarenes? That's populated by the Gentiles.
Well.
Okay, so you know the disciples are all nervous. because they're Jewish people, and everybody else around them were Gentiles. But Jesus, someone say Jesus.
Jesus.
But Jesus went there. Keep reading. 2 men who were possessed by demons met him. They lived in the cemetery and were so dangerous that no one could go through the area. They began screaming at him, "Why are you bothering us, Son of God? You have no right to torture us before it's God's appointed time." A large herd of pigs was feeding in the distance. So the demons begged him, "If you cast us out, send us into that herd of pigs." "All right, go," Jesus commanded them. See, Peter didn't have a problem going here. Why would I think that? I don't think Peter had a problem going there. He was probably nervous. But why? That fulfilled the stereotype. Because remember, the Gentiles were rapacious. Who was a Gentile? A Gentile is anybody who's not a Jew. Gentiles did anything they wanted to do. They set up their own pantheon of gods. They had their own customs.
Amen.
They had their own religions. Some were far to the extreme. Some were somewhat conservative. But they were wild people.
Amen.
They were without God. As Paul says, without hope. So they fit the stereotype. They're demon possessed. Peter's like, "That's okay. We come here to help." So Jesus helped him. Okay, yeah, we're going through. Okay, Peter's like, "Whoo, that was a close one." Whatever. Let's go to Mark chapter 7. Mark chapter 7, verse 24. And the interesting thing about Mark is written by John Mark. Anybody know about John Mark? Remember he followed Paul and Barnabas, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Amen.
And then he left because it got too wild.
Amen.
Remember that? But just like Timothy was Paul's son in the gospel, John Mark was Peter's son in the gospel.
Amen.
He took him under his wing. And if you read the book of Mark, it's a little history for you. If you read the book of Mark, it reflects Peter's personality. It's boom, straightforward. Straightforward. If you check it out, it's the shortest gospel among all the other ones. If you notice anything about Mark, it's the history. Matthew, John, and Luke pulled from Mark as their source book because Peter wrote it. He dictated the story to Mark. So these examples found in Mark are from Peter. Keep reading. Chapter 7, verse 24. And remember, the Bible just doesn't include things just to include things.
Amen.
Remember who it's written by. It's written by the Spirit of God. Chapter 7, verse 24. It says, "Then Jesus left Galilee and went north," I like that, "to the region of Tyre." Why did they put that in there? That's where the Gentiles were. Look what Jesus. Remember, Jesus. He sent to the Jews. Why is he going over to the Gentiles? You know Peter was thinking that, okay? You know Peter was thinking that, okay? Keep reading. "Then Jesus left Galilee and went north to the region of Tyre. He tried to keep it secret that he was there, but he couldn't. As usual, the news of his arrival spread fast." Listen to that. The Gentiles want a piece of Jesus.
Amen.
That's the thing about Jesus. Someone say that's the thing about Jesus.
This thing about Jesus.
When you know Jesus, when you see him for yourself, he draws all men to him.
Amen.
Remember he says, "If I be lifted up." Remember that scripture? If I be lifted up, I will draw all men. If you lift up Christ, not religion, not bias, not your tradition, all men, not some. Some say all. All men. Keep reading. "As usual, the news of his arrival spread fast. Right away, a woman came to him," I like this, "whose little girl was possessed by an evil spirit." Keep reading. "She had heard about Jesus." I like this. She heard about him. "And now she came and fell at his feet." She's humbling herself, okay? Think about that. A Gentile, okay? Falling at a Jewish man's feet.